Sup nerds, I'm Tom. Let's talk about the World's Fair expansion for Museum. We do already have a full Our Thoughts video on the base game of Museum, so we're just going to talk about this expansion and what it adds. And what it adds is actually two different modules, and I must admit I've only played one of the modules because the other module is this loan aspect where you can play cards into other players' museums where they get some amount of points, but you get certain amount of points at the end of the game based on the difference that your card that you played affects the set that they make and something like that. And that just seemed a little bit too complicated in the fact that when I was sitting down to play this, I was trying to introduce this game to new players while mixing these expansions in to see if, those cause too much of a problem, like is the base game so much so that when we introduce expansions to new players that they cannot handle it. And I did kind of leave the loans out of it. But the other part, these pavilions, didn't cause any problems. New players were able to handle this no problem, which probably speaks more to than if I had played the loan aspect as well. These are really, really cool. This might be my favorite expansion because what I love about these is you put these boards out there, number of players -1. The reason why there are 4 is because there's a 5th player expansion that includes another one of these. And there are these sort of demands, I guess you'd say. So the public is asking for certain cards in a certain order that anybody can play over here. Whenever they play them, they won't get the actual number of points printed on the card because they're not exhibiting them into their own museum. But you play them over here, and you do get the number of points printed on the little demand card here. When you go to exhibit a card to the pavilion, first you look at what the demand asks for and the order in which it asks for that. So like for this one here, it's Indus Valley. The first thing it wants is an Indian card of any number, doesn't matter. It's the pink one. And then you actually put your little clip on it of your color to say, hey, I placed this card here. And then the next one it asks for is a 3 of any, it doesn't matter the color of the domain or anything. And then it asks for a pot, then an Indian one again, and then a specific in Africa of number 5. But if you notice, as you're playing these cards, you are getting points off to the side. But like in particular, the 3 that you play, well, you're only getting 2 points for that. So you are at a little bit of a loss, but you get those as the point tokens, not as points on the board. So at least you're not going to rush the game out any further. But at the end of the game, you will get points for whoever contributed the most. So if I contributed the most, I would get 17. Whoever contributed the second most gets a bonus 8. And if I'm the only one who contributed there, I get 17 plus 8. And that's a really interesting way of doing it because I could throw a bunch of cards down there, and I'm actually incentivized to throw small value cards. The exception of the 3 and the 5 when they stipulate the numbers. With the other ones that don't stipulate the numbers, well, why would you waste high numbers if you're only going to get 2 or 3 no matter what? So you should put 1s out there, so 1s all of a sudden become a little bit more valuable. It used to be, well, if none of the cards out there that I'm going to draft match my thing that I'm trying to do, match my endgame scoring card or the set I'm trying to build, I might as well just pick up this 5 because, hey, that's 5 points. Or I can pitch it to play some lower cards. 5s are more valuable. But in here, you're kind of looking at the 1s and 2s and going, okay, I could pick that up real easily. It costs very little for me to play it out there, and I'll probably get a little bit more points from it, and I might be able to work on this majority scoring thing. And the fact that if you're the only one, you get both is really enticing because I could sit over here and play 4 of the 5 cards out there and then you look over and you go, oh wait, I play 1 card, I get 8 points. That's kind of a lot. But you have to so you're almost going to want to try and bum rush it real quick and being like, ooh, I already put 2 cards out there. Nobody else has put any cards out there. Can I put these 3 that they want in this particular order out there right now so that I lock that down and I do this whole thing by myself? Might be kind of hard, but hey, a lot of points to go for. There's a lot of points there if you go for that, and you might want to almost even forego some of the sets. Well, not 100%, but if you're finding really difficult to find that 7th card in that domain that you want to complete that set, where you're just digging through the one deck that has a lot of those, and you're pulling out all those public opinion, well, it might be time to diversify a little bit and look out over here. I think this is probably my favorite expansion. It just adds a really good, that's player interaction I like, right? I mean, in this type of game, it's just getting this thing before you do, but this really feels kind of like a race and kind of like we're at each other's throats to get this done, before the other person can get to it. And I'm watching the cards that you pull. Are you pulling cards that will fill up on these things over here? Versus the black market is a bit more just, I do this to you, this bad thing happens to you. Not much you can do about it. And then in that instance, you're not even really helping yourself all that much. You could be playing a better favor card on your turn. It just feels a little bit wonky. But in here, really, really enjoy this expansion. I think this is my favorite, even though I haven't played the other aspect to it. And I probably will, or even if I don't, this still might be my favorite expansion. So I'm going to put purchase links to the base game, this expansion, a bunch of other stuff in the description box down below. Go ahead and buy yourself some stuff. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.